Yo, what's up? How you doing? It's your boy Mad Scientist, and we are back for another week of just talking music. Um, Let me start off by saying that before we get into the actual meat of our discussion, I did see the Kendrick Lamar and SZA um, Luther music video, and as usual, I do have an opinion. Okay. But you know me, I can never just do a regular reaction video. I can just never just do a regular discussion. I have to dig a little deeper and do things a little different than everybody else because at the end of the day, it's like, why would you pick a normal reaction video? Someone saying either they don't like it or they do like it or they're comparing it to Drake. I mean, everyone's doing that. I'd rather do something a little different, dig a little deeper. And so that is something that I am going to do. I just have to get all my research together, get all my facts together. And once I do that, I am definitely going to release a reaction video. And I know the way I'm going to discuss it is I'm going to talk about the history of duets, okay, especially in Black music, and I want to pretty much show how what Kendrick is doing is kind of introducing the world to an old concept by using duets with SZA, and this has been a long tradition in Black music, and I think he's just continuing on the tradition. So we will be talking about that as soon as like I said, I got to get all my research and all our facts together. Okay. Today we're going to be talking about music production. Like I told you a couple weeks ago, before last week we did Kanye. So a couple weeks ago we started a new series. It's a music production series, and what we're talking about is the future of hip hop production. So before I get into that, let me go ahead and read my introduction. Hey, what's up? This is Mad Scientist on an all new Power 97.5 LA. Today, we are just talking music. We bring you vital information about music production, promotion, and distribution every week right here on Power 975 LA Radio. Download the app from your favorite app store or go to the website power975la.com. That's power975la.com. You can go to your favorite app and you can either go to Google, you can go to Apple, or you can go to Amazon. Download the Power 975 LA radio app. It's a really great app. Has a lot of good functionality, and I think you'll like it. That way, you'll know the schedule, you'll know all the DJs that are on, and you'll know when I'm there. And no matter where you go, no matter where you are, you have me right there. What? You have me. Okay. So if you're at the beach, you know what? Don't worry about it. You got me right there on the app. Okay. All right. Now, the reason why I'm going through this particular discussion really is because um, hip hop didn't really ever go through a loudness war. Okay. Um, Hip hop, you know, never went through the phase of being louder. Not that, every producer, every rapper, every singer wants the songs that they write to be loud, but it's never gone through a real loudness war. Okay. It was almost like, if the song was good, then the song was good, right? Um, I'm thinking about early 2000s, early, especially in the late 90s, like no one was thinking like, "Oh, I like this song because it's louder." You liked it because you liked it. Maybe, you were listening to Tupac, maybe you listen to Biggie, but you're not going to sit there and judge the song based on how loud the song is. So, and I think for the most part, the reason why is because hip hop was limited as to where you could hear the music. You know, you had obviously in the 90s, you had records. And when you're using records, I mean, loudness is you're kind of limited. When you're using cassettes, again, you're limited. Most of us, especially in, for me in the 90s, late 90s, I listened to music on, CDs and cassettes. You know, I did not have, I personally, now this could be other different for other people, but I didn't have the opportunity to hear it, live. I didn't get to see a lot of acts live, right? So only way I heard, hip hop music was through mediums that the loudness is going to be limited. Okay. When you listen to it on a cassette, just not going to get loud. And CD, it's still going to be a little limited as to how loud you can get it. Okay. And and then another thing, you're using a lot of samples. So therefore, um, the loudness is still going to be hampered by that. And so um hip hop music, the older, like when I DJ, the older the hip hop song is, it's not as loud as current. Now you may be saying, okay, well, yeah, we got better technology. Yes, we do. We have better technology now, so songs can be louder. But what's been happening is there are certain songs that are now coming out way louder. And we have tools now that we can measure actual loudness. Okay. Now, let me jump back for a minute. And for those who don't know, loudness and peaks are two different things. Okay. When I say loudness, I don't mean like it's peaking at zero. Okay. Well, it's peaking at zero. So it must be as loud as it can get. That's not how we measure loudness. We measure loudness in LUFS, and that perceived loudness um, can be measured. And I would say now, unfortunately, for those watching me on YouTube, I haven't figured out how to pull up my DAW. For those who are on the radio, it doesn't matter. You're just listening. So I haven't figured out how to do that. I spend a lot of time DJing as opposed to making these videos, these live videos. So some things I know how to do, some things I don't know how to do. Okay. Putting my DAW on screen is one of those skills I don't have yet. Okay. So, but I did measure the loudness of a lot of Dre's, like Chronic 2000. And I was thinking, like, okay, Chronic 2000 is going to be super loud. And it was like minus 14 LUFS, which if you put anything out now at minus 14 LUFS, it would just be like unacceptable, totally unacceptable. Okay. The average song that I get, and it's important for those who are artists, for those who are producers. Sometimes I'll DJ a show and an artist will say, "Hey man, can you turn it up louder?" And I'll look at them and say, "No, that's a production thing." And they're looking at me like, "Huh?" I say, "Yeah, loudness is a production thing. It's not something you do now. It's something you do in the studio. It's something you do in the mastering." And I'll have to explain to them, peaking is not loudness. Now, I kind of hate being that guy to have to always be so smart to disappoint the artist that I'm working with in those situations. But it's just more, of a lesson. And I'm usually the one that will take them to the side and say, listen, you have to talk to your producer about understanding loudness and how to measure how loud your song is. Okay. So that when you get into these live situations, then the song feels as loud as you want it to be. Okay. Now, if I were to go to um, BPM Supreme, which let me pull that up. So you guys, for those who don't know, DJs, we get our music from BPM Supreme. Okay. And so for those who are watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see. Those on radio, you won't be able to see, but I'll be able to describe it to you. Okay, so we go get our music from BPM Supreme or DJ City. Um, there's different there's different people that go to different places for different reasons. I go to BPM Supreme. It's great service. But this is where we go get our official music. Okay. If your impression was that we downloaded off of YouTube, no, we don't. If your impression is that we download the music off of Spotify or Apple Music, no, I don't. Why? Because I know that the music that comes from BPM Supreme will be loud. Okay. It's typically -9 LUFS. Okay. The louder it gets, the smaller the number gets, the louder it is. So if you're talking about -14 in the late 90s and early 2000s, we're at typical -9 right now. Okay. -9 LUFS. That's LUFS for those on the radio. Okay. LUFS. You can look that up. Okay. And that's how you measure perceived loudness. Okay. Now, so that's why I go as a DJ and I'm DJing at clubs and venues -9 LUFS. Okay. And typically with hip hop for a long time, our only venue that we really um, were prevalent is at nightclubs. So if as long as it was loud at nightclubs, then hey, you're good to go, right? And at the nightclub that I DJ at, we have two subs. Both of them are 5'9", 5'9" tall, so they're huge subs. And if it's the song is mixed really well, the whole club feels the bass. I'm talking about I feel the bass in the DJ booth. The people dancing feel the bass, and even you have people even at the bar. The bartenders they feel the bass. Okay, and ultimately, I like to call my fans bass heads. I'm a bass head, so if the song doesn't have bass, it's hard for me to like really be into it. I still can, but I gotta have that bass. Now, many of you know that follow me know that I'm on this journey where I'm producing and I'm being very transparent about my production and the songs that I write. And I will tell you this that um, right now I'm able to easily get between -7 and -8 LUFS. My trap music is pretty much around -7. My like West Coast hip hop, kind of like -8. Um, Traditional hip hop -9. Only because the louder you get, it brings in it has a certain sound and it is clean, but that clean sound, because you're not going to get -8 if it's not clean. Okay. And when I say clean, I don't mean as in sterile, meaning like you could hear everything. You could, hear everything, but with traditional hip hop, having that ultra pristine is not aesthetically what you want to go with. So I'm able to push it up to -9, right? I'm going to be releasing a project. Everything's going to be coming out at -9. Okay. Primarily, the primary reason I'm going to try to limit everything to -9 is so that every song on the album is the same. And I know that my music is being played in the clubs. So -9 is going to be fine. I'll be able to compete with everybody else on BPM Supreme because -9, right? Now, but guess what? If I have to start going to different venues, outdoor festivals, stadiums, yes, I'm hoping for that. Then I'm gonna need the loudness to need all my songs to be louder. I'm probably gonna have to remix it and master it so that I can get up to like -8. Right now, there are some exceptions in hip hop. Tyga is at -8. Okay, Chris Brown is at -8. Um, 310 Baby, his music is loud. Okay, so it's going to be important now more than ever for you to know how to get your music loud, not just in terms of peaking, but in terms of perceived loudness, LUFS. Okay, and which is going to mean that hip hop producers are going to have to develop a new skill. Okay, and we're going to get into that new skill later, just to kind of give you a preview. We're going to have to learn how to make our own kicks. We are going to have to learn how to make our own kicks and 808s. I think the days of going and downloading a kick on a from a website or and I use Splice. I'm not going to even front. I use Splice, but I don't get my kicks from Splice. Okay, I don't download 808s, and I literally have like the classic 808s. I have the Spins 808. I have all that, and I still like to use them. I just like to use them, right? But on a regular, I had to take the time. My album is actually late because I had to actually take the time to learn how to make my own kick and my own 808. The reason why is because, and we'll go into it more, but just to preview, the kicks and the 808s that you get off, from different people, from packs and stuff like that, they produce them. And a lot of times, in order for them to be perceived loud, they distort them. Now, that's not a bad thing. I'm going to tell you that that's what you need to do, but you need to do that as opposed to getting something and then having it already distorted. Okay, you need to go ahead and do that. So, what we're going to do in this collection in this series is I'm going to show you the tools that you need in order to get loud mixes. Okay, and again, not peaky mixes, loud mixes. Okay. And that way, you know, um, as time goes on and the requirements that you get louder and louder happen, you'll be able to keep up. Okay. You got to remember loudness is not something that happens with one or two plugins. It happens, you know, with the right plugins at different stages of the mix. Okay. And then also at the same time, you've got to think about arrangement, which we're not going to really go into arrangement. We're just going to stick with the actual mix part of it. Okay. But there's a lot of things that go into making a song loud. Okay. Perceived loud so that you can fill the room. Because if it's not, you can't fill the room. An example of a song that I play all the time, Sweetie's My Type. That song is not loud. It's not mixed loud. And I play it all the time and people like it, so I continue to play it, but, um, it's not loud. Um, the song Birthday, B Word, I can't say it because 'cause I'm on the radio, um, It is kind of loud, but I play it all the time. I would say it's kind of mid. Um, but I have to play it because people want to hear it. Okay. Um, My Beat by E40 is super loud. It is loud. The bass just fills the room. So, there's songs out there that you may hear that are hits. They're not that loud. And as DJs, we have to play it. But at some point in time, it's going to be mandatory. And with 310 Baby, he has a song. I'm trying to think of 310 Baby songs. I can't. They just popped out of my head. Like I can't think of them right now. But 310 Baby, look him up. Um, his songs are super loud, and that's a large part of the reason why his songs are so popular. Okay. So shout out to 310 Baby. Okay, now let's get into the actual nuts and bolts. Now that you guys understand the importance of loudness and you understand the magic number, -9 LUFS. Okay. -9 LUFS. Plain and simple. Okay. Just remember that so that when you start measuring how loud, when you go to the studio, and you're talking to your producers or your mix engineers, you're like, hey, can you measure how loud it is? You have to make sure that you can get it up to -9 at minimum. Okay. Now, if you get up to -8, now you're playing with the big boys. I haven't seen any producer that has or any record that's come in at -7. That's EDM. A lot of the electronic dance music songs, they have the war. They have an all-out war. Okay. It is mandatory that your song be as loud as you can make it. And you can't come in there. I can pretty much tell you if you were to go into an EDM set with something less than -7, -6 loves, your song won't stand up. It won't pass the test. Okay. So EDM music is loud. Okay. And they have like a lot of bass and it is loud, but their venues are different than many hip hop. Okay. So it has to be loud. I mean, you got outdoor stadiums, you got, you know, a lot of huge rooms, and they have to fill that room. Okay, the bass has to fill. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the first tool that you're going to use to get your music loud. Okay, which is I'm going to bring in a channel strip. I'm not endorsing it. I'm not. It's the Waves SSL. I'm not endorsing it. I am not telling you. They're not paying me. um, this is just the one that I use. Okay. This is the one that I use. So that's the only reason why I'm using it. And actually, the one that I use specifically is the E channel. Okay. Now, the thing about the E channel is it is modeled after the famed SSL board, which was used, the SSL 4000, I believe. And it's been used by everybody. Dr. Dre uses the SSL board. Pretty much everybody in hip hop uses an SSL board. Okay, so that's why I use that channel. Now, a couple things you got to know about these channels. These channels are modeled after the actual board. Now, is it very similar to the actual board? No, it's just modeled. Okay, what's the difference between the plug-in and the actual board? Is the board has circuitry, and so there is a bit of you know, inconsistencies within every channel. That's just going to naturally happen where the plugin is going to be consistent. Okay. Now, what happens when you put signal through this? Well, if you put signal through any kind of electronic process, you are going to have residual uh, noise on that. Okay. You're going to have residual information on that signal. Okay. Now, back in the late 90s, when I was learning how to produce, we had this fantasy in our head that what if that noise, that distortion was completely gone from the signal? And that's how we got to the point of digital. And digital was clean, it was no distortion, and there was no noise. And we said, ugh, this sounds horrible. So a lot of the music in like the early 2000s, a lot of music just sounded just it wasn't good. It wasn't full, you know. The only people who really had like good full music were top tier producers like Dre, because he was still using analog. Okay, I still believe that Dre uses analog today. Okay, but outside of that, it was ugh. Okay, so what these strips do is they try to put the noise and the distortion in back in to the digital realm. Now, what they add is harmonics, okay? Odd and even harmonics. And what the best way to explain very quickly what is odd and even harmonics is imagine if I'm singing by myself. Ah. Now imagine if you have like two more me and all three of us are singing the same note at the same time. Ah. If I sing the note by myself, then the note's gonna have some volume. It's gonna have some loudness. If I add one more person, it's gonna get louder. If I add a third person, we're singing the same note, it's gonna get louder. Okay. We don't have to make ourselves louder. It's just the repetition is gonna it's the difference between having one singer singing something and having a choir sing it. You just have more singers singing it. So naturally, the choir is going to be louder than the person. Okay. Now, even is if we're all singing, if I'm singing, you know, the key of C, like the C note, and then the next person is singing C note, but at a higher octave, and the next third person is singing C note, but at a higher octave, right? We're all singing C though, just different octaves. Okay. And so not only are we going to be loud, but it's going to be a little bit more richer, right? Because it's like, okay, it's like variations, it's not all the same thing. Okay. And that richness is what we like. It's harmonics, it's the saturation. Okay. Think of saturation as a lot of times people see it with colors. You'll have the color red. Now, imagine that you have like a light red that's like, it's not so saturated. And you have a dark red. Okay. The dark red has way more saturation. Now, when we're dealing with colors, we may feel like, hey, sometimes you want to use light red, sometimes you want to use dark red. When it comes down to music, we typically like, especially with drums, we typically like the dark red. Okay. We want that full, that nice, fat sounding kick, the thumpy kick, nice, fat sounding snare. We want our drums to be fat. We want our bass to be fat. And that means it's well saturated. Okay. And it just means that, it has more into it, more than just the one signal, right? What the channel strips do is they began the process of adding um, uh, harmonics to the signal. Doesn't add noise. Okay, noise is still not a good thing, but it adds harmonics to the signal. Okay, so if you have a kick, it's adding harmonics to that kick. So it's not just a singular kick signal. It's five, six, right? And they're all different. And so it just makes it more full, makes that kick more full. And when the kick is full, it has the perception of being louder. Okay. So I tested the SSL, and this channel strip adds even order. The E channel adds even order harmonics. Okay. So if I put in 100 hertz, the next one was two, the next one was four, the next one was six, the next one was 800 hertz. Okay. So 100 hertz, then 200 hertz, then 400 hertz, then 600 hertz, 800 hertz. That's even order harmonics. And so now the signal feels fuller. And that fullness is going to make that signal a little bit louder, not all the way as loud as it needs to be, but a little bit louder. Now, another key thing for those who may have this plugin or maybe thinking about getting it, you have to make sure the signal goes all the way up to -6. Okay. That's why you have to test all your plugins, because you can test the plugins, you can see the effect that it has on the signal. You just use a sine wave, 100 hertz. You could see, and you can also find out at what input level do you need to have the signal come in. So if you have the signal coming in at -30 dB, peaking at -30 dB, you're not going to get the effect. Okay, so that's a little how to. You guys know I don't do the how to's, but every now and then I will go ahead and give you a little tip. Okay, so yeah, so the channel strip will add saturation, will add harmonics. Now you may have a different channel strip, and your channel strip may act different. So I would test it. Just send a 100 hertz signal through. I use span, so I could see. It's like a scope, and you can actually see the signal come in, and you'll see how your plugin is reacting. Is it getting odd order harmonics? Odd order harmonics would be I'm putting in a 100 hertz signal, and the next little bump that goes up will be 3. Okay. And then the next little bump will be 6. And then the next little bump will be 12. Okay. So it's just adding different little bumps to the signal at odd numbers. Okay. 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay. Um, the sound of that one typically tends to be harsher. So a lot of people like to use odd order harmonics on drums, right? Because drums, you want the drums to be crunchy. You want them to have a little bit of crunch to it, and that's what the odd order harmonics will do. Okay, and they'll use even order harmonics on your voice. Okay, even order harmonics tend to be smoother. You want your voice to sound silky smooth, so you're going to use um, even order harmonics. Okay. Now you may say, well, what's going to give me even order harmonics? We'll talk about it. Okay. We know that this SSL board gives you even order harmonics. So over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll talk about other tools that you can use and what kind of harmonics they bring to the table. Um, Now, the next question will be, the biggest question I had was, do I need to put this on every channel? I'm going to tell you how I use it, and but you can test it. Large part of what I do in production is I'm always testing, testing, testing. Okay, testing, testing, testing. You need to see how your plugins work. You need to know how they work, and you need to know how they work in combination with other plugins that you may use. So I would do a test. if if you put all your plugins on your individual channels, mono and stereo, right? And then you could put these on your bus, okay? And then you can put them on your effects channels. And then you can put them on your stereo out channels, okay? You can test to see how it sounds. You, do you like the sound? That's what you'll find out. Do you not like the sound? Okay. Does it make a difference? Okay. Me personally, I tend to only use this plugin on the individual um, channels, mono and stereo. Okay. And I make sure everything that comes in at -6 dB. It peaks at at least peaks. It may not stay at -6 dB, but it's at least going to peak at -6 dB. And that way I know for certain that a small bit of saturation is placed upon that signal, okay, or that sound, okay? Think about this, and you always got to remember this, and you'll never go wrong. Saturation is like hot sauce, it tastes good on everything, okay? There's nothing that hot sauce does not taste good on. So I put hot sauce on everything, vegetables, meat, okay? Saturation, you put that on everything. And as long as you're putting that saturation on your instruments, you are now going through the process of making louder music. Okay. Um, so that's what the channel strip. You know, I would definitely um encourage you to not only use the plugin, but I would encourage you to go and really find some really great channels, YouTube channels on saturation. Um, just I've if I were to recommend any one of them, I would say um, mix.com. Um, no, mastering.com. I'm sorry, mastering.com. Okay, you can look that up. Mastering.com. They have really great tutorials on production, mastering. They have actual deep dives, So I've looked at their videos, and their videos tend to be like I want to say 6 to 9 hours long. And I've looked at those videos, and they do a great job of explaining how to use these tools that you're going to be using. Some examples: they teach you how to use compressors. They teach you how to use equalizers. They teach you how to use reverb units. Um, I'm not saying that everything that they tell you is applicable to what you do, but they give you a really great baseline as to how to use these tools. And they also have some tools on saturation. Okay. I mean some videos on saturation. I would go down the rabbit hole about saturation as much as far as you go, because the future of hip hop music, because we have different venues, we're going to larger venues. The history of hip hop music is that you're going to have to, as a producer, and even if you're an artist, you have to make sure your producers, your mix engineers understand how to make your music louder. And if you can't compete with this loudness war, then it doesn't matter how you composed your beat, how you put it together. If it's not loud, it's just going to be unusable. Even if the artist says, okay, yeah, no, I like it. I love this beat. I got to have it. And then you record on top of it, and then you try to give it to a DJ. I can see a future where DJs, I know with me, if your music isn't at -9 loves, I'm pretty much not gonna play at the club. Okay, because now I can't have you affect the presentation, my business in my presentation. I can't have you affect, the night because your music is not up to par. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then you can go back. I would say go back through the playlist. I'm always talking about different levels of production, and I would just kind of like deep dive into these production videos that I create, because I'm always talking about how to create music that can be played in clubs. That's my main focus. That's where I'm at. Okay. And I know there's a lot of independent artists out there who are working at home, trying to m- complete their music at home, and it's just them or it's just their buddy. They don't have like these expensive engineers or studios that they can rely on. It's just you and your guys, and you guys are spending all this time trying to create music. And if you don't have the right perspective as to why your music has to be produced a certain way, then you're just going to be wasting a lot of time. Okay, you're going to be wasting a lot of time and energy, and you're going to end up getting discouraged. Not because you're not skilled, it's just little bitty secrets, little bitty, and I really don't want them to be secrets anymore. I want all of us in hip hop to have a full understanding. That's the one thing I notice about EDM producers and DJs is that, first of all, if you're a DJ, you're a producer, and they're always producing a large a lot of them are doing remixes using hip hop. Okay, one of the most popular songs out now is Stephanie, um by Clooney. Clooney's the DJ, and he remixed Ooh by Young and May, and he called it Stephanie, right? And that song is like huge. Okay. But that was his remix. He created it. So now he's out there touring everywhere playing that song. Okay. And he's able to make a tremendous amount of money just based off, he has more than one song, but that's his biggest song right now. And so obviously his payday has gone way up. And, you know, in that community, they will talk about these things and they don't have secrets. They don't have secret sauces, you know. And I want to bring that same kind of mindset and mentality to hip hop, is that we need to stop having these little secret sauces and these little secrets. Share it. There's enough room for everybody out here. Okay. And I would love to be able to have an independent artist come to me with something that I could really, really use. Because you got to realize 310 Baby is technically an independent artist. He's technically an independent artist. He's not signed to one of the majors. Okay. And that was something that he intentionally wanted to do. I actually saw him on an interview, and he intentionally did not want to go to one of the majors. Okay. He's with I can't think of the radio state. I can't think of the record label right now. Everything is like kind of escaping me. I can find out. Hold on. Let me for all the YouTube people, let me find out where 310 Baby is signed to. 310 Baby. Hold on. Baby. Yeah, the name of the song is called Soak City. Okay, so 310 Baby, and he is signed to Empire. Okay. And the name of his song is Soak City. So that song is loud. Okay. And I know that when he first put it together, it wasn't that loud, but they remastered it once it became a single, and they made that song loud. That song is loud. Okay. But all of his music is loud. He has other music that's loud. Okay. I can tell you, I listen to it and I play it, and it fills the club. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of bass. Okay. So whether you like what he's saying or not, don't let that get in the way. Just, kind of like don't even worry about that part. Okay. just don't focus on that. Just focus on the fact that his music is loud and you got to figure out how to get your music loud. But he's an independent artist, okay? And so I would love for more independent artists to come up to me with the right kind of music, and I can listen to it and I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to say I don't like it or oh I don't know about that. I'm not going to go into all of that. When I'm listening to music as a DJ is, can I use this song? Is it applicable? Does it apply to what I'm doing? I'm a DJ at a nightclub. I have 300 people wanting to dance, not wanting to think, not wanting to like analyze, not wanting to like compare lyrical style. They want to dance, have a good time. At the same time, they don't want to be insulted. Okay. Girls don't want to sing to a song calling them names. At the same time, guys don't want to be feel endangered. Okay. Guys don't want to feel endangered. Like, I'm gonna get killed by this rapper. Okay. So I'm just asking myself when I listen to independent music, can I use it? Is it the right tempo? Is it produced well? Is it loud? Okay. Once that happens, and I could determine all of that without even hearing the song, I can just put it into the analyzers and I can pretty much tell you, like, okay, yeah, I'll play the song without even hearing it. Okay. It doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't have to be, all crystal. Obviously, I'll play Sexy Red. Okay. But Sexy Red is not killing guys. She's not killing women. She's usually just doing other ratchet stuff, but at least she's not killing them and she's not insulting them, right? Okay. So Sexy Red is about all having just ratchet fun. And that's what people want to do when they're at the club. They may not want to be ratchet when they're outside in life, but in the club they want to be ratchet. So that's just a little, tidbit, some little advice for independent artists that are looking to get their music played by DJs. Now, every DJ is different. I'm talking about me. So if you have something that fits, you can contact the radio station and we can go ahead and look at it and we could talk about whether or not we're going to play it on the radio. If you want to play it on the radio, by the way, it has to be clean, not kind of clean, all the way clean. Okay, 100% Walt Disney clean. All right, it could be ratchet, but you got to take all the cuss words out. Okay, all of them. Okay, and we check where I'm not putting it on the air if all the cuss words are not out. Okay, and I'm not going to do it. So that means you got to have a good relationship with your producer and your mix engineer and whoever else is putting it together. You got to have a good relationship with them, okay? Because I'm not going to do it. Just have it right. And then again, needs to be loud, okay? Okay, so let me to wrap this up because we got about 2 more minutes. I've given you a lot of information, but just to kind of go over or summarize again, hip hop music is going to require that producers, mix engineers, artists, rappers have loud music. The loudness level that you need to be at minimum, is -9. I know that Spotify says send it in at -14. I never send my music in at minus or any of the music I produce, not produced for some major artists. I never send it in. I never send them music that's like -14. Never. Okay. Peaks at zero point zero 0.03. Okay. The peak is at zero point zero 0.03. The loudness is -9 LUFS. That's the whole key. Okay. Um, and then in order for you to get that loudness, you're going to have to start adding saturation at every level within all of your plugins. That's how I'll say it to make it simple. All your plugins need to be adding a very small bits of saturation. Then you're going to have actual saturation plugins that actually saturate. But don't fall into the trap of thinking all I need is one saturation plugin and that's it. No, You got to put it in at every stage of production. And so today we talked about the channel strip. The channel strip that I use is the SSL, the Waves SSL 400 each 4000 E channel, and it adds um, even order harmonics, which is saturation. Okay, it's adding as long as I get the signal up to -6, it is adding saturation to the signal. Very small amount, not a large amount, but very small amount, but that small amount's there. And over the next 3 weeks, we're going to be adding more plugins that will continue to add more saturation. Okay. I'm going to explain to you what those plugins are and why you're going to use them. Okay. I'm not going to go into total, technical how to use, but why you're going to use them. Okay. Just as a preview, because we have a little bit more time, we're going to talk about compressors, we're going to talk about limiters, we're going to talk about clippers. Okay. And you need all of those things to create loudness. Without it, if you don't know how to use them together, okay, without it, you are not going to get your music loud no matter what. Okay. And then at the end of the series, we're going to talk about the importance of learning how to create your own kick. Okay. So those are all the things that we're going to talk about. Uh, I want to thank everybody who tuned in, who continuously tunes in on the radio every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. I always thank you for your patience. Um, I know that it's pre-recorded and you might have questions. If you do have questions, you can always go to my YouTube channel, Mad Scientist. You can always put a comment or a question. I'll always answer. I'm not one of the people that have somebody else. I'm not that big yet. Have somebody else answer it for me. Um, I still answer it. And if you find information, if you find information that you feel like is beneficial to the community, add it on. If you feel like what I said was wrong, give me your opinion. I'm willing to listen. And if you've like, nah, this is my experience, okay. I'm giving you my real life experience. I produce music. I also play the music in clubs with large subs. Okay. And so um, I'm always, listening to not only other people's mixes, but my mixes. And when I was finally able to get my music to sound good loud, that now I feel like, at that moment I felt like, okay, I'm a producer. And when I was able to this year learn how to finally design my own kick in 808, now I feel like I can compete. Now I feel like I can compete. And that's what I'm hoping that you might not get there now, but I'm introducing this concept to you because it was introduced to me. And before that time, my music was good, it sounded good, but it just was not. And you can go hear it. It's on Spotify. Find me, Mad Scientist. You're like, okay, yeah, it sounds good because I write good music, but it wasn't loud. It wasn't that thing. Okay. But once I learned how to get loud, it- I'm not saying that I'm not saying that people just accept the music right away, but everyone says, "Oh, you know what you're doing." They may not like it. Okay, they could still be like, "Nah, it's not what," but they never feel like I don't know what I'm doing because they know, like, okay, yeah, you get loud, so you got to know what you're doing. You got skills, and I would tell you, I will confirm that with you that in order for you to get your music loud, you got to have some skills. Okay. And one of the skills that you're going to have to develop is how to create your own kick. You got to stop downloading these kicks. A lot of these kicks that are downloaded, if you analyze them, they're garbage. Yes, it might sound good to the ear when you're listening to them on your headphones and you're in isolation and it doesn't have to stand up to large subs, right? But when you're in a club, it's like your music is totally naked And if it's not right, it's just not going to be right. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end it right there. It's your boy, Mad Scientist. Yes. And this is the all new Power 97.5 LA radio station. Today, we are just talking music, where we bring you the vital information about music production, promotion, distribution every week right here. We're on the Power 975 LA radio app. You can download the app from your favorite app store, whether it's Google, Apple, or Amazon, or go to the website, power975la.com. Don't forget, I'm on the radio every day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can see it scroll across there the whole time I was talking. But I'm on the radio station, Power 975 LA radio app, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. I don't play independent music, okay? But I play good music, okay? And it's hip hop, R&B. Um, if you want your music on the radio station, go to the website, power975la.com, contact the radio station, and then they will get it to me. And then I will go ahead and set up an interview. I will also set up to play your music. And if your music is cool, if it's good, I'll put it into regular rotation. It's not that hard. I don't think of it as like, ooh, do I like it or would I listen to it? I just, like, hey, does it fit? Does it make sense? Is it usable? Okay. And if it is, then I'm gonna go ahead and give you a shot because we got to give each other a shot. Somebody gave me a shot, so I'm going to give the next person a shot. I'm not selfish with opportunity. Okay. All right. I think that's it. I want to thank everybody who came through. I want to thank everybody who listens to the streams live, and I want to thank everybody who comes after and looks at it. Don't forget on YouTube, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. I got to remember to say that stuff. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Okay. You're usually going to get one video a week because I'm busy, busy, busy. But that video is going to be so useful. Okay. All right, you guys. I will see y'all next week. Y'all have a good night. Be safe.